The sun of Arizona fell heavy upon the dust-blown ranch lands where silence carried more weight than words, and the cries of the oppressed often vanished into the dry air without ever being heard. And in that land of sweat, hunger, and pride, there was a girl chained in the yard of a sprawling cattle ranch, her ankles bound with rusty iron and her head bowed so low that she almost seemed carved from the very earth she had once roamed freely, an Apache girl, young yet strong, her long dark hair tangled with dirt, her eyes hidden from view and her spirit bruised but not fully broken, for inside her heart the fire of her ancestors still burned, though no one cared to see it. And the ranch owner, a hard-faced man named Carl Henson, treated her as a tool, a beast of burden, something to prove his power to. Neighbors who whispered about his cruelty but never dared to speak aloud. And it was in this world that a new man arrived, tall, broad-shouldered, with calloused hands that showed years of labor but eyes that carried something rare in the frontier, compassion. His name was Matthew Kane, a drifter, a ranch hand looking for steady work, though fate had written a different script for him. And as he rode onto the property, dust kicking behind his weary horse, his gaze caught the sight of the chained girl kneeling in the dirt, her arms limp, her body exhausted, and his heart twisted at the image, though he said nothing. For newcomers who spoke too soon rarely lasted in such places. But the vision etched itself deep inside him like a wound, one that would not close. And Carl greeted him with that suspicious smile landowners wore when testing the strength of hired men, offering him work and a place in the bunkhouse. But Matthew's eyes flickered once more to the girl, and in that moment Carl noticed, his grin sharpening as he barked that she was nothing but a savage, a stray caught near the cattle fence, and that keeping her chained was mercy enough. For she could have been shot. And though Matthew nodded and held his tongue, a silent rage kindled within him, for he had seen cruelty before, in mines, in camps, in other ranches, but never had it struck him so personally, never had it pulled so hard at the moral threads of his soul. And night fell heavy over the ranch with coyotes crying in the distance and the chained girl huddling against the post for warmth, her breath trembling in the cold. And Matthew lay awake in the bunkhouse listening to the snores of other men, staring at the cracked ceiling and wondering why his chest felt so heavy, until finally he rose and stepped outside, the moon silvering the desert and painting the girl's figure in pale light, her hair falling like a curtain over her bent head, and he found himself walking toward her, silent as the desert breeze. And when he reached her, she startled, her body flinching in fear as if she expected a blow. But Matthew crouched down, his voice low, gentle, telling her he meant no harm, that he had no whip nor chain to offer, only words. And slowly, with hesitant fear, she lifted her eyes, just for a second. And in that second, Matthew saw everything, her pain, her pride, her unspoken plea for freedom. And though words were scarce, that one look told him more than any conversation ever could, and he whispered that she was not forgotten, that someone saw her. And though she did not answer, a single tear slid down her cheek, cutting through the dirt, a tiny spark of humanity breaking through the shadows, and footsteps behind startled them both as Carl appeared out of the darkness, pipe in hand, eyes narrowing, asking what Matthew thought he was doing. And Matthew, steady but cautious, said only that he was checking on the animals, to which Carl sneered and spat, calling the Apache girl less than an animal, a burden he should have sold off. And with a cruel laugh he struck her across the face, knocking her sideways into the dirt. And Matthew's fists tightened, but he forced himself to stay silent, to wait, for a storm rises stronger when it waits for its hour. And Carl finally left, muttering about work in the morning. And Matthew bent again to the girl, gently helping her sit up, whispering that she must hold on, that he would not let this last forever. And though her lips trembled, no words came, only the faintest nod, the faintest flicker of hope. And from that night onward, Matthew carried her image inside him like a secret oath, working the ranch by day, keeping watch over her by night, his thoughts sharpening into resolve. For he knew one thing with certainty: Chains may bind a body, but once another soul has lifted your head and seen your truth, the chains begin to break, and so began the story of a man and an Apache girl, two lives bound by chance, destined to shatter the cruelty of a land that thrived on silence. And to anyone hearing this tale, remember that it is not just about the dust of old ranches nor the iron of chains, but about courage rising in unlikely hearts. And if this story moves you even a little, do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this awaiting. Stories of struggle, honor, love, and redemption in the wild lands of yesterday, where human spirit always fought to rise above the dirt. Morning broke across the ranch with a golden blaze, and the cattle groaned as cowhands rose from their bunks, pulling on boots, spitting dust, and cursing the heat before it even arrived. But for Matthew Kane, that dawn carried a weight heavier than any saddle or rope, for he could not shake the memory of the Apache girl's tear, the way it slid down her face when he whispered hope into her darkness. And though he worked with steady hands, mending fences and roping calves, his eyes strayed often toward the yard where she knelt still chained, her shoulders slumped, her spirit pressed low by the burden of iron. And in those stolen glances he found himself swearing in silence that her fate would not remain so, that somehow he would lift her from the dirt and show her that even in a world built on cruelty, kindness could still win. And as days passed, he noticed more: the way the ranch owner Carl barked at her like she was livestock, the way the other hired men jeered and tossed scraps at her, mocking her silence, calling her savage, heathen, caged animal. And though she endured without raising her head, inside Matthew's chest the storm built, until one night, under a restless sky, he could bear it no longer, and he approached her again, his steps soft on the dirt, and whispered his name, telling her he was not like the others, that he wanted to know her, to give her voice back. And for the first time her lips parted, her words rough as if unused, whispering her name, Tayana, a name that carried the rhythm of rivers, the strength of mountains, the memory of her people. And Matthew repeated it softly, reverently, like a prayer. And in that moment something shifted, her eyes lifting higher than before, catching the light of the moon, meeting his gaze not as a chained prisoner, but as a woman daring to trust. And that spark carried Matthew through the long days, for now he had more than a cause. He had a name, a soul to fight for. And soon Carl noticed, his sharp eyes seeing the subtle exchanges, the way Matthew worked harder, lingered longer near the yard, and suspicion turned to fury. For Carl's pride could not tolerate softness, nor the thought of a hired hand questioning his dominion. And one evening, after too much whiskey, he lashed out, dragging Tayana by her chains into the center of the yard before the men, shouting that savages deserved only pain, raising his whip as she trembled but kept her head bowed. And it was in that instant Matthew stepped forward, seizing the whip mid-swing, his grip iron, his eyes blazing as he told Carl that enough was enough, that no man with a beating heart should treat a woman like a beast. And the yard fell silent, the other men frozen in shock, for no one had ever stood against Carl before. And Carl, red-faced and trembling with rage, barked that Matthew had 24 hours to leave or he'd be shot like a stray dog. But Matthew did not flinch. Instead he turned to Tayana, and gently before them all, he lifted her chin with his calloused hand, raising her face to the fading sun, showing every watching eye that she was not dirt, not shadow, but a woman whose spirit still shone, and in her gaze the fire of her people returned, a silent blaze that burned through chains. And though fear clawed at her heart, pride rose within her. For the first time in months, she lifted her head and held it high, the blood of her ancestors flowing strong. And the men murmured, unsettled, for something in the air had shifted. Something in Matthew's defiance stirred even the hardest among them. And Carl, shaking with fury, demanded Matthew's gun and ordered him off his land. But Matthew, calm and steady, declared he would leave only with Tayana, for no chain could keep her from freedom now. And Carl spat, drawing his pistol, the air thick with the promise of blood. And in that heartbeat Matthew braced for death. But one of the ranch hands, a younger man named Elias, who had watched in silence for too long, suddenly stepped forward, saying Carl had gone too far, that he would not stand by while cruelty reigned. And then another stepped, and another, until half the men shifted uneasily to Matthew's side, unwilling to raise arms against him. And Carl, realizing his grip of fear was slipping, screamed that they were all traitors, firing a shot into the air. But the echo was drowned by the voice of defiance rising, and in that storm of courage, Matthew broke Tayana's chains with a hammer from the forge, the iron snapping, the sound like thunder announcing freedom, and she stumbled, weak from months of bondage. But Matthew caught her, holding her steady, whispering that she was free, truly free. And though Carl raged, his power crumbled before the sight of a woman standing tall again, her head raised high beside a man who chose honor over fear. And as they walked away from the ranch, leaving dust and tyranny behind, the desert wind rose, carrying with it the song of liberation, and Tayana, though silent, felt her voice return inside her, a voice that would one day tell her people of chains broken, of pride restored, of love found in the unlikeliest place. And Matthew, though uncertain of tomorrow, knew one truth unshakable, that lifting her head had lifted his own spirit, binding them together in a bond no cruelty could sever. And this, dear listener, is why stories must be told, why voices must not be silenced. For every chain broken is a reminder that humanity shines brightest in the darkest places. And if this tale has stirred your soul, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, for countless more stories await, stories of courage, love, and the fight for dignity, in a world that too often forgets the power of a lifted head.